Joining us now is our correspondent Carl Nassman, who's been with those search and recovery teams. Carl, talk to us about how those teams are going about this search and recovery at this point.
Yeah, there's still so many people that are unaccounted for, and even though the hopes at this point of finding anybody alive some 7 days or so after those flash floods really are very dim now, those teams are still out there. They're very determined to try to find as many of the missing people as they possibly can. And the key to that right now is really cadaver dogs. These are highly trained dogs that can pick up on even the faintest bit of human scent. We were out with one of these search teams earlier today, along with their dog named Rocket, and at one point the dog actually thought that he might have picked up on the scent of somebody there in the riverbank, and you saw the teams stop right there, pick up their shovels and begin to excavate that area. And after they dug, of course, carefully, the dog came back in to see if they could pinpoint the location, and at that point actually the scent went away. They simply couldn't find anything anymore, and that just goes to show, how difficult this operation really is. Multiply that, of course, times so many different sites along this river where you find that debris, and we're talking about an expanse of the Guadalupe River that runs maybe 20, 30, even 40 miles downstream from where the floodwaters initially hit. That's the task at hand here. I was speaking with the head of one of these volunteer groups, Joe Rogalski. He's the founder of Upstream International, and he told me a bit about what motivates him and others to be out there doing that work.
There's still some good left in humanity, so I think everybody puts themselves in each other's shoes. This is what they would want somebody to do for them. So, like I said, workup crews, you'll burn them tired, but when there's lives involved, I think that's what keeps them going. There's always a moment where the work is done and you go home and you think you're going to go to sleep, but you're tired and you're thinking who's out there. Obviously, people hold on to hope for life, but if you've ever shook hands or hugged a grieving parent who just wants closure and knowing where their family is, or entire groups of families. So I think that's the motivator, is just being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Tell us again about this area and the importance of doing these multiple different kind of layers of searches that you're doing.
Yeah. If you have 160 people missing is what they're reporting, and you've got 60 miles of area of where water ran through, in that area is where those people are. So first time, second time, third time, we're at the stage now where, like I said, you're digging 4 to 6 feet over new ground that may be laid by the storm. So it's almost a repeat of the same things, but more diligent, a little bit slower. Dogs obviously have incredible sense of smell, and when it comes to the cadaver dogs, they can miss things, but they rarely give false positives. I mean, their entire training is around a particular scent and a particular response. So you get an area and you do the absolute best you can with that. You replay it over in your head. You think about nooks and crannies that maybe easily could have gotten missed. It's natural, even for us humans, to take the path of least resistance. So once that's done, now it's like, okay, now we've got to move earth and move trees and try to do it harder.
Yeah, Carl, such difficult work that's being done there. And this all comes, as we know, President Trump is expected there on Friday amid all of these questions that are still being asked over the levels of preparedness and the response.
Yes, Sumi, President Trump expected to be here surveying the damage, not only on the ground, meeting with officials, but he'll also be in the skies above hill country here in Texas, just to take a look at exactly what took place here. But while he's doing that, there will be questions asked about the federal response. Of course, the president has been very critical of FEMA. That's the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Along the campaign trail, he said that was an agency he wanted to get rid of altogether. So as we've now seen FEMA come onto the ground here in this part of Texas, there are questions being asked about whether or not the agency has the same levels of resources that it might normally have. We know that already in the first few months of the Trump administration, FEMA has seen its staffing levels go down by about a third. That's due to layoffs and people taking early retirement. So, can that agency, with its slimmed down profile, really provide the after effects, the aid, the relief that it normally would to disaster affected areas like this one? The Trump administration insists that it can, that this is all part of trying to reform an agency that it's been very critical of in the past. But as the president comes here, there'll be questions about FEMA, and of course that's just adding to the chorus of questions about whether or not the state and local officials were prepared and whether or not they had the warning systems in place to try to save more lives.